Are you running on fumes? Feeling that deep, soul-level exhaustion that no amount of sleep seems to fix? We're told to fight it, to push through it. But what if your burnout isn't the problem, but the beginning of the solution? Believe it or not, your burnout could be the most intelligent and compassionate thing your psyche has ever done for you. It sounds insane, but in a world that demands you be everything to everyone, burnout is the soul's emergency brake. It is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you are trying to break free from a life that no longer fits. In this journey together, guided by the revolutionary lens of Carl Jung, we will decode the hidden wisdom in your exhaustion. We will explore why this breakdown is actually a breakthrough in disguise. We will learn what your soul is desperately trying to tell you through your body. And you will be given the first tools not to fight your fatigue, but to finally understand its sacred language. This is more than a guide to overcoming tiredness. This is a foundational lesson in shadow work. It is about listening to the parts of you that have been silenced for too long. This is your invitation to stop fighting and to start listening.
First, we must understand the anatomy of this modern exhaustion. It is not the tiredness of a body after a long day's work. That is an honest fatigue, a good debt paid. You can feel it in your muscles, you sleep, and you are restored. The exhaustion we speak of is a spiritual bankruptcy. It is a quiet hollowing out from the inside, a weariness that lives behind your eyes, a state where sleep is not a remedy, but a brief, inadequate escape. Modern psychology has a name for this state, burnout, and it is defined by 3 distinct dimensions. Listen closely and see if you recognize your own reflection. It begins with emotional exhaustion, the sheer raw cost of the performance we spoke of, the smile you wear when you're angry, the yes you say when your soul screams no, the competence you project when you feel utterly lost. Your energy reserves are not just being used, they are being hemorrhaged to maintain a persona that is no longer sustainable. Then comes the second dimension, cynicism and detachment. This is a soul's desperate act of self-preservation. The work that once brought you passion now feels like a hollow set of motions. The people you are meant to care for begin to feel like drains on your dwindling resources. You start to feel a cold distance from your own life. You watch yourself go through the day as if you were an actor in a play you no longer want to be in. This is not because you have become a bad person. It is because your true self can no longer bear the inauthenticity. The detachment is a shield to protect what little energy you have left. Finally, there is the sense of inefficacy, a creeping, corrosive feeling of it doesn't matter. No matter how hard you work, no matter what you achieve, it brings no real satisfaction. The finish line you cross only reveals another starting line in the distance. You begin to doubt your own competence, your own value. You feel like you are failing, even when the world is telling you that you are succeeding. Let me tell you about a man I worked with, David, a 48-year-old high school history teacher. By all accounts, a massive success. Students loved him. He won teaching awards. His persona was the passionate mentor. But David came to me because he was living with a quiet dread. He called it the Sunday night terror, that feeling of a looming week that felt less like an opportunity and more like a sentence. He told me, I still love history, but I'm exhausted from performing it. I feel like I'm about to go on stage for a play I no longer believe in. He thought the solution was external, a vacation. So he took 2 weeks off, went to a beach, did nothing, and for a few days he felt better. But the moment he returned, the moment he walked back into the school, the profound, bone-deep weariness returned, as if it had never left. Because the exhaustion wasn't in his muscles, it was in his soul. The short vacation failed because it only treated the symptom. It did not diagnose the disease. You can give a car a new coat of paint. You can fill the tank with the highest grade fuel. But if the engine is seizing up from being driven at red line for a decade, a car wash will not fix it. Our culture handed us a map, a simple one, the map of achievement. It told us to build the perfect persona. It told us that our value was measured by our productivity, the degree, the career ladder, the house, the accomplishments. We were taught to redline the engine of our lives in pursuit of a destination that our soul never agreed to. And burnout is the sound of that engine finally breaking down. It is the physical manifestation of a spiritual dead end. It is the body, the beautiful, wise, honest body, finally saying the no that the mind was too afraid to utter. Pause here for a moment. Think about your own engine. What is the one warning light that has been blinking for the longest time? That quiet ache in your back? That knot in your stomach? That persistent, nagging fatigue? If you feel comfortable, share that one signal in the comments below. Let's simply acknowledge the message, without judgment. The burnout is not the moment your life ends. It is the moment the old life ends. The life of the frantic external search. But here, right here in the wreckage of the engine, is where our journey of shadow work truly begins. Because the breakdown is not meaningless noise. It is a language, and it is speaking to you right now. But what if this breakdown is not a flaw in the machine? What if? What if it is a feature? A message from the designer. What if the breakdown of the engine is not a flaw in the machine? What if it is a feature, a message from the designer? Here is the most radical truth we will explore together today. Your burnout is not your enemy. It is not a weakness. It is not a failure. Your burnout could be the most intelligent and deeply compassionate act your soul has ever performed on your behalf. Think of it this way. When a house is on fire, the alarm is loud, disruptive, and intensely unpleasant. But you would never call the alarm the problem. The alarm is the savior. Burnout is your soul's fire alarm. It is a brutal but brilliant circuit breaker, a mechanism designed to stop a life that has become so misaligned, so inauthentic, so soul-crushing, that to continue on the same path would lead to a far greater devastation. The breakdown is not a failure of you, the individual. It is a protest, a sacred protest from the self, your inner core, against a system, both external and internal, that is starving you. It is your soul's last-ditch effort to get your attention before the entire house burns down. So the question becomes, what is the fire? Where is the real danger that your soul is trying to save you from? To understand this, we must turn to one of Carl Jung's most profound concepts, the shadow. to maintain that successful persona we spoke of, the one that earned you praise and kept you safe? What parts of your true self did you have to sacrifice? What parts of you had to be disowned and exiled into the darkness of the unconscious? Pause and really feel into this. Perhaps it was your creativity, the messy, unpredictable, joyful act of making something just for you with no goal in mind. Perhaps it was your playfulness, your capacity for silliness, for unproductive, spontaneous joy. Perhaps it was your vulnerability, your need to say, "I don't know," or "I need help." Perhaps it was simply your body's deep, ancient need for rest, for stillness, for connection to the natural world. These parts of you do not simply die when they are exiled. Energy is never destroyed. It is merely transformed. The vibrant energy of your creativity, when repressed, turns into the anxious energy of perfectionism. The joyful energy of your playfulness, when denied, turns into the cynical energy of detachment. The life force required to keep these powerful, essential parts of you locked in the basement of the shadow is the source of your profound exhaustion. You are not tired because you are doing too much. You are tired because you are not doing enough of what truly makes you feel alive. You are tired because you are at war with yourself. Let me tell you about Chloe, a 45-year-old nurse. Her persona was the tireless caregiver. She was the one who always took the extra shift, the one who never said no. Her colleagues called her a saint. Her family depended on her completely. But she was in a deep state of burnout. She felt numb, empty, and secretly, deeply resentful. During our work, I asked her a simple question. Before you were a nurse, before you were a mother, before you were a wife, what did you love to do? Tears instantly welled up in her eyes. She whispered, "I used to paint with watercolors. I wasn't very good, but I loved the way the colors would bleed into each other." She hadn't touched a paintbrush in 20 years. Why? She said, "It just felt selfish, a waste of time that I could be using to help someone else." Her inner artist, her capacity for messy, beautiful, unproductive creation had been exiled into her shadow. Her burnout was not a sign that she was a bad nurse. It was the desperate, screaming cry of the artist who had been left to starve in the dungeon of her own psyche. The message was not, "You are failing." The message was, "Please, come find me." This is the secret of burnout. It is not an emptiness. It is a space that is haunted by the ghosts of your unlived passions. The exhaustion is a compass, a painful but perfectly accurate compass pointing you directly towards the gold you have hidden in your own darkness. The message of your burnout is the curriculum for the next most important chapter of your life. It is the beginning of your real shadow work. So how do we begin to read this compass? How do we learn to translate the language of exhaustion into the language of renewal?
So, how do we begin to read this compass? How do we learn to translate the language of exhaustion into the language of renewal? We begin not with a battle plan, but with a listening ear. The ultimate act of reclaiming your power in the face of burnout is to stop fighting it and to start a gentle, courageous dialogue with it. It is crucial to understand this. The goal is not to simply recover from burnout, only to return to the very life that broke you in the first place. That is a recipe for relapse. The goal is renewal. It is the act of integrating the soul's message to build a new life, a more authentic life, a life that fits. This is the true work. Let's explore 3 practical Jungian-inspired tools, 3 gentle invitations to begin this conversation. The first tool is one you already possess: your dreams. Your nightly dreams are a direct communication from the unconscious. They are a report from the CEO of your inner world, the self. During periods of burnout, your dreams are not random noise. They are often filled with powerful, symbolic answers to the question, what does my soul need right now? You may dream of vast, open landscapes, a sign of your soul's craving for freedom. You may dream of water, a symbol of the feeling life that has been ignored. You may dream of a lost, crying child, your own inner child, asking to be found. The practice is simple. Keep a journal by your bed. When you wake, before your logical mind takes over, write down anything you can remember. An image, a feeling, a single word. You do not need to be a dream analyst. The simple, sacred act of writing it down is an act of listening. It signals to your unconscious, I am ready to hear you. The second tool is the wisdom of your body, somatic awareness. The body keeps the score, but it also speaks the truth in a language older than words. Your burnout is not just a concept. It is a physical reality. The practice is to tune into this reality with compassionate curiosity. Find a quiet moment. Close your eyes. Bring your attention to the physical sensation of your exhaustion. Where does it live in your body? Is it a heavy weight on your shoulders? A hollow ache in your stomach? A thick fog in your head? Instead of trying to push it away, just be with it for a moment. Give it a color, a texture, a temperature. And then, gently, ask it a question, either out loud or in your mind. What are you trying to tell me? What is the truth you are holding for me? Let's go back to Chloe, the nurse. Her burnout was a heavy gray blanket in her chest. One day she sat with it. She stopped trying to caffeinate it away or push through it. She simply felt its weight. And she asked it, "What do you need from me?" The answer that came back was not a word. It was an image. The image of a paintbrush dripping with blue watercolor. Her body was speaking the message of her exiled artist. It was reminding her of the very energy that could heal her. This leads us to the third and most direct tool, a simple form of what Jung called active imagination. This is the art of having a conscious dialogue with the parts of your psyche. You can do this in a journal. You treat your exhaustion not as a state, but as a character. A messenger who has arrived with an important letter. You give it a name. My exhaustion. The gray fog. And you interview it. You write a dialogue. Your conscious self asks the questions, and you allow another part of you to answer without censorship. Ask it gentle, curious questions. Who are you?
When did you arrive? What are you trying to protect me from? What do you fear will happen if I don't listen to you? The answers that emerge may shock you. You may find that your exhaustion is not a monster. It is a terrified part of you. A part that is pulling the emergency brake because it believes you are driving towards a cliff at 100 miles an hour. By listening to its fear, instead of fighting its symptom, you begin the process of inner diplomacy, of making peace in your own kingdom. These 3 practices, dream journaling, somatic awareness, and active imagination, they are not techniques to eliminate a symptom. They are practices to build a relationship with the deepest, wisest, and most honest part of you. The path out of burnout is not a sprint towards a finish line of feeling better. It is a slow, gentle walk homeward, to the exiled parts of your shadow, to the forgotten passions that hold the keys to your vitality. You are learning the art of listening, the art of translation. But every good conversation, every deep inquiry, begins not with an answer, but with a single, powerful question. And that is where our journey will take us next.
So we arrive here, not at a solution, but at a new relationship. A relationship of listening to the wise, weary messenger within. The war is over. Not the war against your schedule or your responsibilities, but the quiet, exhausting, unwinnable war against yourself. We have seen that burnout is the soul's fire alarm, a sacred protest. It is the physical consequence of a spiritual misalignment. It is the price we pay for exiling the most vibrant, joyful parts of ourselves into the shadow, in service of a persona that was never meant to be a permanent prison. The ultimate goal, then, is not simply to recover. Recovery implies returning to the state you were in before the breakdown. But that state was the problem. Returning to the life that broke you is not healing. It is a recipe for relapse. The true goal is renewal. This is the heart of Jung's work, the heart of shadow work. It is the courageous act of integrating the soul's message to build a new life. A life that has space for the artist and the caregiver. A life that honors the need for rest as much as the drive for achievement. A life where your worth is not measured by your productivity, but by your presence. This journey is not about adding more to your plate. It is about taking things off that were never yours to carry. It is about giving yourself permission. Permission to rest. Permission to play. Permission to be imperfectly, beautifully human. The practices we have explored, listening to your dreams, feeling the wisdom of your body, dialoguing with your exhaustion, are not just techniques. They are acts of homecoming. With each small act of listening, you are telling the exiled parts of yourself, I see you. You are welcome here. Your wisdom is needed. With each act of listening, you are slowly, patiently bringing the gold back from the darkness. You are not just healing your burnout. You are beginning to heal the very split in your soul that caused it. This is the great turning point. The shift from a life dictated by the external world's demands to a life guided by the internal world's wisdom. The power is returning to its rightful place, within you. So as we close this conversation, I invite you to one small, sacred act. The next time you feel that wave of exhaustion wash over you, instead of fighting it, instead of caffeinating it, instead of shaming it, I invite you to pause. Just for a moment. Place a hand on your heart or wherever you feel the weariness in your body, and whisper to it, either silently or out loud, "I am listening." That is all. No need for answers, no need for a solution, just the simple, revolutionary act of signaling your willingness to hear. Treat your exhaustion not as an enemy to be defeated, but as a wise and sacred guide. A guide that is relentlessly, compassionately calling you back home. Back home to yourself. We have learned the art of listening. But this quiet space we have created is not an end in itself. It is the sacred ground upon which we can finally ask a different kind of question. The one question that is rarely asked, but which holds the power to reframe your entire existence. And that is where our journey will take us next.